Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. How you doing? It's Danny Tisdale, and you are listening to the Danny Tisdale Show. I hope you're doing well today, because I'm not doing too bad. As the day goes, knock on wood. Where's some wood? I'll knock on it. It stays the way that it is. Again, I hope you're doing great. And, as I do in every show, just want to give you an idea of, what's trending on our website, harlemworldmag.com, harlemworldmag.com. And just some interesting, not so interesting stories, but they're interesting stories, but, it's crime and fabulousness that always happens in Harlem that seems to be happening again. But as we go forward, one thing is that I want to wish a happy Black History Month this February. It's already, we're into the first week of February, and it's already kicking. We've got Harlem Hellfighters post from, I was going to say from 1913, but of course it's from earlier in the year. But we reposted it to talk about Harlem's history just a little bit. We also have just the general Harlem history post that's trending. It's an extensive post talking about Harlem's great history. Also, interesting story that seems to continue to trend at the top, and it's the amazing story of Harlem's Esther Jones. A lot behind that story, and you should check that out. And we will be posting throughout the remainder of the month more and more stories dealing with Harlem's fantastic, incredible history. And later in the month, I'll just give you a little teaser. We'll be talking to some Harlem historians about, of course, Harlem's history. This is going to be a jam-packed February, and dare we say that February 14th is right around the corner. It's the Valentine's Day, so we'll be talking to you about that too. But again, check us out at harlemworldmag.com, also at Facebook, or should I say on Facebook, at facebook.com/HWMag. Also on Facebook, Harlem World Magazine. You can check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/HWMag. And, stay connected with us. Comment. Let us know what's going on in your life. And we will keep you abreast of what's going on in the world of Harlem, as we always try to do. As a matter of fact, that's what we do. So I think we have, I know we have an interesting show today and a great guest, and we'll be talking to our guest in a second. But again, I just want to remind you to check us out at Facebook, at facebook.com/HWMag, and also on Twitter at twitter.com/HWMag. I know I'm repeating it twice because I want you to check us out. Also on Facebook, at our website at Harlem World. And without further ado, we want to go right into having a great conversation with our guest, Marilyn Crawford. She is a Harlem resident. She is a representative for Reginald Lewis and a family friend. She is CEO of Primetime Omni Media. She's award-winning chief marketing, branding, business development, PR, and tourism executive with extensive global and national strategic marketing team collaborative experience that complement over a decade of revenue generation and building audiences and consumers. That's what she does. She has won the Forbes Family Trust Reginald F. Lewis Entrepreneur of the Year Award, Art Horizons Woman of the Year, New York Humanitarian Award of the Year, the National Bar Association Gertrude Rush Executive of the Year Award, the Ebony Marketing Mogul. And you hear I'm almost out of breath. I almost need the oxygen tank. There's another 150 awards that she has been awarded. And if I went through those awards, we would that would be the podcast. Some of her clients includes Turks and Caicos, Bermuda, Saudi Arabia, South Africa in general, Jamaica, Mercedes-Benz, FedEx, Volvo, MasterCard, American Express, and of course the Reginald Lewis Foundation, Serena Williams, some of the celebrities, of course P. Diddy, the Grammys, Oscar Week, World Cup, Cannes Film Festival, Sundance, and it goes on, and that is how we roll here, and we have an incredible guest, and I want to thank her for being on the show. And before I reach out to our guest, last week we posted the story on Reginald Lewis and the making of a $1 billion empire that airs nationally on PBS. We'll give you the dates further in. And without further ado, Ms. Crawford, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. And if you can hold on a second, I'm catching my breath after doing probably one of the longest bios that I've ever done.
You
and one of the most
and made it one-liner.
I don't know about that.
My biggest claim to fame is I'm the daughter of Lillian and Timothy Crawford from South Carolina, honey.
Okay, now you got me right there, Miss Crawford. Anytime you go there, then you got me on your list. But thank you for being on the show and bringing your own talent and skills as we talk about the new film by on Reginald Lewis. Again, thank you for being here.
No problem.
So, as the rep for Mr. Lewis and the foundation and the family, I wanted to ask you to put in your own words, who was Reginald Lewis?
Well, I love being asked that question. Reginald Lewis was a family man. That was his first passion above all. And then he was a titan. He was the exceptional businessman who made it against all odds. He was a philanthropist. He was a civil rights activist. Was a fighter for justice, and above all, he was a gentleman. So that's who Reginald Lewis was. He was a scholar, and he really loved his family. And anyone will tell you that when people ask Mrs. Lewis, who is the widow of Reginald F. Lewis, or Mrs. Carolyn Fugit, who's his mother, his first passion was his family. Even on Thanksgiving, even after he became the multiple billionaire and had global sales at $1.8 billion, he would go home on Thanksgiving, and his biggest joy was watching his mother bring the food out. So that's who Reginald F. Lewis was.
Yeah, and I heard some of that, and I read some of that, and I keep wanting to ask myself, there's been millions of men and women out there, black folks who've gone to school and, like Mr. Lewis and yourself, have gone to Yale. Is there anything, Ms. Crawford, that you can put your finger on that made him different, or is the irony that he really wasn't that different? He just had a lot of drive. What made him the man that he was, or person that he was, to have the success that he had, or was the guy just lucky?
There's no, it wasn't about luck. It was about his DNA. And it was also about, first of all, he went to Harvard, because you said Yale, Harvard. But it was also about he knew that he belonged there. He knew. And he was determined to get there. He did not profile himself as anything negative. It was all positive. And matter of fact, his daughter, Leslie Lewis, and Mrs. Lewis, his widow, were talking recently with President Obama, and I can't say exact. I can only paraphrase the statement, but President Obama even said, it was because he thought he belonged there. So it really starts with you. And you asked if he was an exceptional man. Quite exceptional. But it started innate from inside.
And that's in a challenge in itself, because I'm an educator also, and usually I taught at the college level, and I did some teaching at the middle school level and fell in love with it. But having that positive reinforcement and just being positive on a regular basis is extremely strong and helping to develop. And it sounds like what you're saying is that is who he was, and of course that's just a part of this. That says a lot about who he was, and I'm sure obviously Mom and Pop had a lot to do with that and the people around him.
Right, but he wasn't afraid of failure. He failed several times before he did the largest leveraged buyout, overseas leveraged buyout in America. So he wasn't afraid of failure. And you can't be afraid of it, but you have to know that you can accomplish it. You have to know who you are. You have to believe in yourself. And you can't make excuses. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I didn't get to go do this because I was doing that. Oh, they gave this to me late. Excuses, that's your worst enemy. And focus, if you're not focused, that's your second worst enemy. You have to be focused, and you have to have no excuses. Just do it.
Well, and that feeds into my next question I had, because I was, I'm always interested in the process, and it might be the artist in me. And, I was wondering, how did he have this, where did this chutzpah come from? And I think you're kind of speaking to that in a way, is that his head was already there, it sounds like. And it was just a matter of...
His mother tells a story.
Oh, go ahead.
And the story is she decided...
Hello?
And the first thing he did when he came back through the doors, he said, "Where's my money?" Okay?
I saw that.
Even at a young age, you're 8, 9 years old, he knew that he wanted to be successful at business. And by the way, the paper route, he started out with one person, his mom, second person, his neighbor, and grew it to 100 people, and then he sold it to a friend.
So he was rocking and rolling early on how to have the money come in and how to grow the business. Is it that easy?
No, it's not that easy. Like I said, he had multiple failures, like anyone else who's trying to achieve something exceptional in life. But he also had a lot of firsts. And after you get your one first, your first, you want more, because you have a taste for it. But
just wets your whistle.
Say it again.
No, I said it just wets your whistle in a way.
Yeah, it wets your whistle. But look at all his firsts. He was the first person to become the first black billion-dollar deal maker. He was the first African-American law firm on Wall Street. He was the first to be accepted at Harvard University Law School without ever applying. The only person in a 148-year history of the school to be admitted without ever applying. It's never happened again. It hadn't happened before, and it's never happened again. He also, which is little known, was the first to consider seriously purchasing Paramount Pictures.
That is amazing. And so it just says that it just is the mind, is that if you program the mind to do things that you want to do, you can typically get the job done.
Absolutely. But you can't talk about it. You need action. You can't talk about
it. Right.
I mean, you can't say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, et cetera. Do it. Action. And one of his favorite sayings happens to be, keep going no matter what.
Keep going no matter what. And that, in a sense, feeds into what you were saying earlier, is that, and I think people forget that sometimes, is that you have to fail so that you can learn through those failures. And even though you fail, no matter what, you really have to keep on grinding.
Absolutely.
no matter what the scenario is, you have to keep on grinding. And believe it or not, we're at the halfway point. It seems like we just started. We're at the halfway point.
We'll have to do this again.
I know, and I just want our listeners to know that they're listening to Danny Tisdale Show, and this is Danny Tisdale, and we're at that halfway point as we usually have, and this is part of Harlem World Magazine Radio, the #1 magazine in the world for all things Harlem since 2003. And without further delay, we're going to go right back and speak to Miss Crawford about Mr. Reginald Lewis. And we finished off the first segment talking about that you have to, in some ways, I'm paraphrasing, have failures in order to succeed. And just to kind of dot the I and cross the T on that, you were saying that just comes with the process, and I'm saying again, and as I paraphrase that, do you have to have failures to have success?
Absolutely, because your failures help you to learn. Your failures give you incentive to keep going. Your failures give you what you need in order to have a well-rounded model. You know, I don't know anyone in history, not one person can I name, who did not fail. I mean, here you have Reginald Lewis, and he failed 2 or 3 times before actually getting it right, what they call the LBO. And because of that, he acquired an unprecedented global conglomerate. You're talking about 64 companies in 31 countries, which paved the way for other future entrepreneurs and black leaders. But not just for black, for any color.
Right.
You know, here this man is who comes from Baltimore, Maryland, who was taught how to be a great man by his mother, Carolyn Fugit, who has actually triumphed in life. You know, it's just an incredible story. I hope everyone watches the documentary in New York, which will air Sunday, February 18th at 7:30, and in Long Island, Friday, February 16th at 8 p.m., and then in New Jersey, Saturday, February 24th at 7 p.m. And it's also, you can watch it on streaming after that.
And that's fantastic. And I just want to let our listeners know that we have that those dates, those times, and where you can check it out and stream it to your computer or your phone on the website. And on this interview that I'm doing with Ms. Crawford, we'll link to that so that you can know what's going on. And obviously you can hear it from what she just said, but we'll link to it just so that you can stay on point and check it out with all the many dates. And it's truly an American story. And it's an American story really that's global. And I'm not a gambling man, but I'll put money on the fact that this story will influence tons of people from around the world, and especially in the United States. And I think proved the point that
it already has. Charles King, who is the executive producer of Fences, was asked by Bloomberg magazine to name some of his influencers, and the first person he named was Reginald F. Lewis. And you know, he also did Roman Israel, who's up for an Academy Award. Fences won Golden Globes Award. If you look at we have a Youth Entrepreneur Salute social media initiative where we're honoring P. Diddy and Damon John and Michael Strahan and Jay-Z and Beyonce and Rihanna. And, you know, what we ask everybody is to go on social media, tag us, tag them, because we want to train, we want to educate, we want to inspire, we want to motivate the younger people. That's who really needs this. And so in order for them to understand, we have our Yes campaign. You see Jay-Z coming off an airplane, but you see 30 years ago Reginald F. Lewis coming off his private plane. You know, you see them in their Rolls Royces. You see 30 years ago Reginald F. Lewis in his Rolls Royce. So that's important that they know that it's just not the music industry; it's the business industry.
Right, and music is the business industry.
Right.
And I think you raised some extremely important points, and that is that Reginald Lewis has already influenced a generation of young black entrepreneurs, but it doesn't stop there. He's inspiring generations across the board, black, blue, green, who knows the age. So that's quite impressive. And you, Ms. Crawford, have done some very impressive work yourself. And along with that, as our readers listen, they have kids, and they are business leaders and legends and trailblazers in some ways themselves. Do you have any insights or tips for them, in addition to understanding that failure comes with success? Any tips and insights for them as they work their business and grind day to day on being successful and what it may take?
Absolutely. Positiveness. You can't have toxic people and toxic thoughts around you. No matter what happens, go for a positive outcome. And if it's a bad outcome, then say, what do I need to do next for it to be a positive outcome? That's number one. And you have to have the energy and the commitment from within to know that you can do it. At 2 years old, I was walking around with a pad and pen, and they said I was bossing people around at 2. So what happens is, as you keep growing and you learn more and you can do more, then your aspirations and your dreams become larger. And what everyone in this world needs to know is that there is no ceiling. There is nothing that you can't accomplish if you put your mind to it. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to wake up early and go to bed late, and sometimes not go to bed at all. You have to be willing to bite your tongue when you need to, but also speak up when you need to. You have to be willing to do your homework. Preparation is victory. Don't walk into a meeting not knowing who you're meeting with, what their agenda is beyond the subject matter at hand. Don't walk into a meeting not knowing what your deliverables are, what you want to accomplish in coming out of that meeting. So there's certain things that you need to prepare to do. But first of all, be healthy. Start with energy. Do what you need to do so that you are energetic enough to get the job done, no matter what it takes. Keep going no matter what.
I think that is excellent advice. And I do want to add just a little question to that, because a lot of times, as I have these conversations and just other conversations, it's meant for the startup. It's meant for maybe someone who's just beginning to get in the business. Does that apply for someone who's starting up, or does it apply also to mid-career or those who've been in the game for a while? Or does it apply for everyone?
It applies continuously. It is a cycle. And if you're in business until you retire and you're laying on the beach in the south of France and looking out at your 220-foot yacht, it applies until that particular time, because there's a difference between he has money and he's rich. There's a big difference between that and he is wealthy. That means he never has to work another day in his life. The income will keep coming in no matter what. There's a big difference. Fast money is not long-term money.
That's I'm going to remember that one, because that's great. And you're saying, of course, a lot that I remember. And I just want to make sure that our listeners know how to reach out to you, if that's okay, to stay in contact with Reginald Lewis and the foundation. Any contact information you can share with our listeners?
Yes, go on ReginaldFLewis.com, and you'll find all the information that I have been talking about in reference to the documentary. Also, make sure you follow us on social media, and that is Instagram at RFL Billion Dollar Deal, Facebook, RFL Billion Dollar Deal, and Twitter at RFL The Deal, RFL The Deal. But that's very, very important. And then I want you, if you are a mother, if you are a father, if you're an aunt, uncle, friend, grandmother, business colleague, foundation associate, church leader, church-going friends, please spread the word. Tell your kids, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your bosses. Spread the word. We always celebrate Black History Month for 1 month. Black History Month is every single day of every single year. Reginald F. Lewis was a black man, but guess what? He was a man who accomplished more in his life than most men accomplish in 3 lifetimes. So let's spread the word. Don't keep it to yourself. If you're a taxi cab driver, tell everybody who gets in your taxi. So tell them to ReginaldFLewis.com. Tell them to watch the documentary, because what our people need to realize is the more people that watch documentaries about this subject matter, about black successful subject matters, the more that will be made. When you don't watch it, they don't see a need to make them.
Right on point, and I'm going to ask another question of you. We have, I think, our last couple of minutes here, and I just wanted you to give the dates and times that the show airs, just so that they can get it if they didn't have a pen before. Can you give that again? The
Absolutely. Show date? It's on WLIW 21, Friday, February 16th in Long Island. It's on Channel 13, Sunday, February 18th, 7:30 p.m. in New York. It's on New Jersey TV, NJTV, Saturday, right, February 24th at 7 o'clock p.m. in New Jersey. Go on ReginaldFLewis.com if you forget. Go on Harlem World website if you forget. Please tell your friends to watch it. Turn extra TVs on in other rooms, and let's get these ratings up, and let's spread the word that we have a Reginald F. Lewis among us.
And we will certainly do our share to do that. And when we post this conversation on our site, harlemworldmag.com, we will link all those dates. And Miss Crawford, I really enjoy having you on the show and this conversation. I love your passion and all that you do. Thank you very much. But before I want to ask you one more question. What is your favorite place in Harlem? Do you have a favorite place in Harlem?
Yes, I do. I'm afraid to say it out loud. Well, I have 2 favorite places. Well, my first one is First Corinthian. I love that church. I love all the energy. I love the people. I love the message, and I love the theme.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. My second favorite place in Harlem is Harlem Food Bar, and then my third is Marshall's. So there you have it.
Shopper.
You have the spirit of the Lord. You have food, and you have shopping.
Well, it doesn't get any better than those 3 combined.
Well, yes, it does, because now my favorite publication is Harlem World Magazine.
Oh, boy. Okay. And the check is in the mail. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Ms. Crawford, for being on the show, and we will do a hardcore press to get the word out about the premiere coming up. And, again, thank you, and have a wonderful day.
You do the same. I've really enjoyed this. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you again. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And folks, there you go. A really great guest, and as you can tell, energetic and passionate about all that she does and talks about. And as she mentioned, Marilyn Crawford, to stay positive. Failure comes along the road on your journey to success. A pothole there, a distraction over here, but it is all part of the journey. And don't forget to check those dates on your calendar, put it in your phone to check out the upcoming premiere on Reginald F. Lewis. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you soon. Don't forget to check us out at harlemworldmag.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm a helpful Southern California Honda person, and recently we've been doing random acts of helpfulness, like donating shoes to children in need and helping a music therapy facility with new instruments. And we can help you too with a great deal on an award-winning Honda, like the all-new and completely redesigned Accord, a Car and Driver 10 Best a record 32 times. Click the dealer locator link to find a dealer near you, and go to SoCalHondaDealers.com to suggest a random act of helpfulness for someone you know. Car and Driver, January 2018.